Finally, I will be able to get out of this hell that is the really cold hell. Because holy shit, having a support that I want to talk about for 9 different right lines are just ridiculous. Okay, to be fair, in all fairness, some other video might have popped up before that because of my love of that particular deck. But regardless, we are finally here to talk about the very last right line that was introduced to us, and that is Vert. Yes, she is also a prism unit, but unfortunately she doesn't really work with the engine itself except for certain cards. But how good is she? Before we get into the right line itself, I will say this though. She is good, just not broken. And I would say this right now, if you are a Bermuda lover, you have to have this set of right lines.
A bold claim.
Because not only we are getting back Shizuku as a grade 0, we are also getting back Setna and Aqua as a right line.
It was perfect. Perfect.
Okay, I can see some people might be confused why Setna, Shizuku, and Aqua is a part of a Vert right line, but I will say this. Unfortunately for Vert, she doesn't really have a specific right line for her as a whole.
What?
Because Setna and Aqua are generics for any grade 3 Relical decks that are mermaids. As we start off with Setna herself, I mean, Shizuku doesn't have additional effect being the grade 0. Setna has only one skill. When rolled upon by Aqua, Soul Blast 1, look at top 7 card of your deck, choose up to one grade 2 or greater card among them, review it, put into your hand, shuffle your deck.
So good.
This is just straight up a searcher. Yes, there are a lot of good grade 1 engine in this
nation,
but I think they do this to prevent you from fetching the PG way too easily. And I would say some of the decks that are mermaids do appreciate having Setna's skill of being able to fetch the grade 2 or 3, which actually helps to play the board better for them as well. And for Vert, this is good because Vert's main mechanic is to have additional copy of herself in your hand as much as possible, and Setna and of course Aqua help to make it possible to a very good extent, as we have top idol Aqua. I'm not gonna lie, she looks a little bit different from what I remember, especially that Vert hand. Anyway, Aqua has more or less the same skill as Setna, but instead of you needing to Soul Blast, you doesn't need to Soul Blast at all, at a cost of being able to check only top 5 card instead of top 7. And the unit that helps you to trigger this specific skill are grade 3 mermaids units. So even Chris Rain can actually take advantage of this right line.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
This is a really good skill for Vert in general, as I mentioned earlier, because you need multiple copy of Verts in your hand as much as possible. As we have Prism Image Vert. Vert has 2 skills where at once per turn you can Soul Blast 1. If you haven't write with a card ability yet, choose up to 1 card from your hand with the same card name as this unit and write it as stand. If you roll a card, draw a card, and choose one of your Vanguard, it gets 10k until end of turn. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater, it gets all your front row plus 10k instead of just plus 10k to herself. And then auto Vanguard, when this unit attack, counter blast 1, choose up to one of your rare card and return it to your hand. And choose up to one grade 3 or less card from your hand and call it to rare card circle.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So yes, this is a very simplistic skill, and you might be reminiscent of it from Kyrie from the original Radical right line. But the best part about Vert is this card is essentially a mask that doesn't require a mask.
I a joke to you?
That is how insane this card is going second. And this gets even stronger if you considering the fact that you can Persona right into Vert first, then use her skill to actually trigger what I would essentially call a double Persona right. But of course, this means that you need at least 2 copies of Vert for every subsequent turn after turn 3, which might be a pain in the ass to actually keep it up. Fortunately enough for Vert, there is actually a few support that she did receive that make that image much clearer and actually not impossible to achieve. See that joke there?
Gay!
Because that exact card I'm talking about is Prism Image Clear. Clear only has 2 skills where she is a 13k unit if you have grade 3 or greater Vert Vanguard. And then when this placed on Rare Circle, by any means, discard a card from your hand, search your deck or drop up to 1 grade 3 card with Vert in its name, review it and put it into your hand. If you search your deck by this effect, you have to shuffle your deck. So yes, it is safe to say the deck's strongest combo heavily relies on how often you can actually play clear by this effect, because she more or less will always guarantee you at least a copy of Vert to trigger for her own skill. This card one might be a little bit pain for a lot of people, and I would say it is quite a big deal. Because of this part of her skill, there are, in my opinion, two different builds that you can approach with Vert. One with the focus on making sure that you get the 2 persona right every turn as much as possible, and the other is a playstyle of going into 5 attack thanks to the card like Vert. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this kind of dictates what are the third type of trigger you are running in your deck. As if you're going to focus on pure Vert skill, running front might be a way for you, but if you want to focus on some funky 5 attacks with Vert, I would say draw might have been better, just to make sure that you can keep up with the cost as much as possible, because you won't be able to activate the other Prism Image unit that come with this booster, and that is Rosa. Rosa has 2 skills, where her first skill is when placed on Vanguard circle, review either a grade 3 Vert card from your hand, or if you have a grade 3 or greater Vert Vanguard, this unit gets 5k and you can counterblast additionally to get a draw. And then when this unit attack hits, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Vert in his name, you can countercharge 1 and return this unit to hand. Do note this countercharge doesn't have a weird countercharge restriction where it can only be done once
So let me be clear.
per turn. For an on-hit effect, this is not bad, but it is an on-hit effect, so it does have its drawback. But at the same time, I would say this is also the reason why I'm saying you're gonna be needing draws in the 5 attack variants of this deck instead of front, due to the fact that you're gonna be using this additional draw counterblast for Vert skill. But overall, I think Rosa is an alright card. Like, it allows you to actually rush early if you have Vert in your hand, and combined with cards like Yuika, this just makes rushing with Rosa actually possible. And then you combine with the grade 1 from the Prism support in the previous Radical booster, this also makes Vert actually quite an irritating card to actually deal with in the earlier part of the game if you play the combo properly. And yeah, there's no other notable unit to talk about for Vert support except for the last card I have to mention, and that is Perfect Shape Parfinoir. This unit only have one skill, where when Vert Vanguard is placed on Vanguard circle, you can put this unit into your soul, look at top 5 of your deck, and choose one unit among them and call it to Vanguard circle.
It's actually quite nice.
This is a great skill because this can be triggered regardless you write your Vert normally, or you can use it during Vert skill, which allow you to actually do a decent filter from the deck and essentially just help you to fetch Clear and Rosa a lot more consistently. Unfortunately, this card doesn't really fix the hand size issue of the deck, but let's be real, this deck gonna be needing both Franchette and Yuika to really make it work, unless you go for the 5 funky attack build that I mentioned earlier on. Okay, so let's end this year Radical series properly by talking about what is the good point of Vert and what is the bad point of her. The good part of her is essentially, of course, kind of like a mask-less mask personalized skill. This means that as long as the deck going second, the deck will have a great amount of rush thanks to that additional 10k that you give consistently to your entire front row. And the whole engine more or less work quite well as a well-oiled machine, as you have Clear that help you to search, Rosa as an attacker and countercharger, and Vert that always making sure that you can re-trigger effect of cards like Clear and Rosa consistently. And the deck does have some decent filtering skill and quite a great synergy with the generic support as well. But there are some issue with the deck that I feel some of the people who complain about it online is actually right about. And that is the fact that yes, Vert can hit high number, but she has to go second. Like, if she doesn't go second, I do feel playing Vert feels a lot worse because of the fact that you don't get that additional 10k for your Vanguard on turn 3. And as much as that power level is actually great, it's only 4 attacks. So that means that there is not really huge amount of pressure you can actually push on the opponent. Yes, the number is big, but without things like critical trigger, those number doesn't really mean anything as much, at least in my opinion. But in all fairness, she is definitely a lot better than some of the new right line we have seen in recent times. And I'm talking about you, Rotovisor.
Emotional, damn it!
And that is all about Vert. And in my opinion, Vert is a nostalgia trip that is very expected to come, considering Labrador is here already. I wasn't surprised to see Vert here. But what do you guys think? Do leave down the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub, and become a member for some cool perks. And this is Mac Mechanic signing out.